stock, crypto, credit moves. Good evening, YouTube. Back again for another video. We're going to discuss today what are authorized user trade lines and do they work in 2022. I'll just give my example of what an authorized user trade line is. Guys, this is nothing new under the sun. It's been going on for a very long time. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book to actually boost your credit score. Depending on whether or not your credit score is already solid. And it's not always about the score, but what all do you have going on your profile? If you have a lot of collections, if you have a lot of inquiries, if you have a lot of charge-offs or negative items. I always tell my clients, you need to clean that up first. If you don't have all those items going on, yes, authorized user trade lines are going to help you out a lot because you don't have any negative information that's going to stop your credit from increasing. As my grandma would always say, as I was a kid growing up, you can't add sugar on top of shit. And that's exactly what you're doing when you don't clean your profile up and you're expecting for authorized user trade lines to do all the hard work. You have to invest in your credit score first. And then, yes, they do work. So let me actually give an example of what an authorized user trade line is. It's very simple. Essentially, you're borrowing someone's credit history that has great payment history, and the limit of the card and the age of the card. All the history on that particular credit card is going to be added to your profile when they add you as an authorized user to that particular credit card. So if you have a Bank of America card that's 10 years old and it has a $10,000 limit, perfect payment history, great utilization, all that history is going to be put on your history. And if you don't have any negative items, it will actually provide a boost. How much of a boost? I'm not Jesus. It's going to depend on the algorithm. It's going to depend on what all you have going on. I've seen some authorized user trade lines at 50 points. I've seen some add 175 points. It's going to be predicated on what you have going on your profile and what your profile actually lacks. Let's go into a more definitive definition. Authorized user trade lines are typically a revolving line of credit where someone places someone else as an authorized holder of a user account. The trade line appears on the user's credit report. It is called an authorized user because the person added is simply authorized to use the credit card but has no payment obligation. So this is something that I do for my clients that actually need history. It's actually a fast way to add history if you're trying to establish further credit in your own name. But it's not going to solve your issues if you haven't already addressed your own. They do help out a lot of times when people are getting close to try to apply for mortgages and things like that. But you have to take care of yourself first. Some of the things that have changed over the last 2 years, I've noticed FICO 10 and FICO 10T, which is FICO trending. What that is, now banks, what they're doing is they're going back 2 years and they're looking at your history over a 2 year period instead of 3 to 6 months. So no longer can you just fix your credit and get approved for a house or a loan within a short period of time. You have to actually have, they can go back and look 2 years worth of history. So that's why I encourage my clients to fix their credit just because they want to have good credit. They're making it a little bit more difficult now to borrow money, especially through the pandemic and now the war. So you have to make sure your history is tight. You've been making your bills, making your payments on your rent and your car and your credit cards for a long period of time because they're checking all that stuff now. Before 2010, 2020, it was a lot easier to fix credit and go right in and get a home loan. But now banks have cracked down, and banks are fully aware of authorized use of trade lines. So you have to pretty much make sure when you're going and you're trying to borrow, you have to make sure you've taken care of things on your end in order for authorized use of trade lines to actually work. So they're still very effective. My company, we actually are a matchmaker. So people who actually need history, will add history for a fee. I'll actually put my website here, and I'll put some articles about authorized user trade lines. They definitely increase your odds of getting approved. And so I get this question a lot: why am I getting low limit credit cards to start with, um, even though my credit score is high? And that's because the credit limit is determined by the highest limit trade line you have on your profile. If you have a brand new profile and you don't have any history, um, previous history, whether you don't have any car payment history, you don't have any loans in your name that you've paid off, or any history of paying higher limit credit cards off, or student loans, or what have you, that's going to actually limit the amount they're going to approve you for a credit card or anything else. So the higher the credit card that you may have, the limit on your profile, that also increases the credit limit when you actually apply for another card. So if I have a $25,000 history for a credit card, when I apply, banks are not going to feel reluctant to give me a credit card that's 25,000 or above. But if my highest limit trade line is only 1,000, then they're going to cap it at no more than whatever my biggest trade line is. So that's what gets a lot of people frustrated. But it's not all that difficult to increase your credit limits. Just make sure you're paying your payments on time, pay the credit cards off, use the available balance. So if you have $1,000 on that credit card, you want to use close to the top of that limit. So there's nothing wrong with charging 900 on it, but just make sure you pay that credit card down to 7% or less utilization a week before the statement date. So let's say if the statement date is the 15th of every month, you want to make sure you pay that credit card balance down to 7% or less before the 7th of every month. So that's that piece there I will continue to hammer home about because it's very important to keeping our credit scores as high as possible. It's the main thing I see with clients that they forget about is just keeping that credit card utilization reporting as low as possible. So yes, authorized user trade lines are very effective in 2022. They're not a band-aid. You have to put in work, but they're very effective. So I'm going to end this video here. Uh, if you like this content, we would love to have you subscribe, comment. Let me know if this information is helpful or not. Um, do I need to change content, or is this helpful to you building your credit? And any other comments you may have about this channel. I just started it and I have tough skin. Well, I'm going to stop here today. Until next time, signing off.